Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming back and watching us again. And thank you for Steven for coming to Aroma Talk.
Of course.
Yeah, and it's always, I've known you for a very long time. I think it's been more than a decade. Is that right? I don't know.
I want to say it has been. I remember the first event I came to must have been like 7 or 8 years ago, and it was at a different location. And
we were very new into this game, so I think we were just in business for 3-4 years. Yeah, it's been, I always enjoyed our conversations, our collaborations. So you've been one of the best gentlemen out there that I'll ever talk to for sure.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate it. I can only say the most positive things about you and the team as well. I've known you guys for a long time.
Yeah, thank you, man. So thank you again for coming by. We started doing these podcasts about 2 months ago. And it's been actually pretty fun. I love that. I'm 100% sure that you have more knowledge about fragrances and perfumes. You're like a lot of people out there, maybe 40 times more than me. Like you're definitely, yeah. I was like, the only way for me to actually understand fragrances more or industry more by just sitting down and having conversations with people that they know more. So, and this is what I'm very comfortable with. So that's why we started doing the podcast. And it's been pretty good.
No, I've seen a lot of your episodes on YouTube, and even some of the more recent conversations that you've had with people, I think they all came out great. I mean, it's a beautiful space here, very cozy, intimate, and I think you're a natural at this as well. But I've said that about you in the past when you used to do the reviews. And so, but I love the podcast sort of atmosphere and ambiance here. It's just really nice being able to connect with people in the industry. And I would say, probably a lot more than I do. You work directly in the industry with so many different brands. So don't sell yourself short.
Oh, no, I mean, it's just that the amount of fragrances and perfumes that are coming out every year is so much that you get overwhelmed. It's a good thing, but then also it's hard to catch up with all that information. Who's the perfumer? What are the notes? How did they make it? All that stuff. But I think that's just part of this industry, part of the game that you have to go for it. So
I think for a lot of people it can be overwhelming, but for a lot of people it keeps them on their toes.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh wow, there's yet another release. There's yet another release. So for people it's like there's still something for me to discover. You never feel fulfilled though. And that's the thing that I think keeps people going. Once you fall down the rabbit hole, it's like, well, I'm never going to stop exploring because the brands will continue to put out new fragrances. Now it's just a matter of, are they going to put out a new, unique and original DNA? And when you get that, like, you really have to take it all in, because oftentimes when brand new fragrances come out, especially if it's something that pushes the envelopes or it's experimental, a lot of people don't take kindly to it right away. But after a while, they come to realize that, oh, this is different, this is unique. And then once you realize that other brands are following suit and everybody is kind of releasing their own version and interpretation of it, I think that's really special. So, of course, you've played around with a lot here, and I've seen the warehouse. You guys have so many different brands, amazing brands. So I see some of the wonderful fragrances here, some of which I've never tried before. So
yeah, that's why I was like, because I know you kind of also have access to a lot of fragrances. You work with a lot of people too. So I was like, let's just try to bring some of this stuff that are very unique and you've never tried, so then I can get your opinion on it. Our focus is mostly niche and artisan fragrances, even though we carry so many other brands. But I think what's fun about that, niche industry or artisan fragrances is exactly what you said, that everyone tries to pushes that boundary. The envelopes come out with this new fragrance or new idea of it, and then that's the fun part about it. And like you said, I think maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago in America especially, like oud fragrances was something that was making people uncomfortable. It was kind of offensive that you wear that such a strong fragrance. But now in the past 3-4 years, everyone loves oud.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
Even with the first mainstream release, M7, under Tom Ford's creative direction, it's like, wait, this is a commercial designer oud fragrance. And then, of course, we saw brands like John Varvatos follow suit. And, of course, with Richard Herpen, who composed oud wood. And we've seen such a resurgence of the note. And it even goes back to people using the term that's been coined in the community, niche quality. What does it mean for something to be niche quality? It doesn't always mean having more natural ingredients or being more experimental, but it does mean providing something that you don't smell among the mass marketed fragrances. So it's nice to strike that balance. Like when I was in high school, I was wearing all designers. Yeah. Then when I discovered companies like MaxAroma, I'm like, well, now I'm going to start wearing some of the higher end stuff. So it's nice to see that there's never a limit to the amount of creative expression that happens when it comes to these fragrances.
Sure. Yeah, I would say whenever I go to these shows or conferences like Essence, extent explore that many of them that are out there, and every year there's like a new perfume, there's new company that comes out, and then I'm like I'm pretty sure that I've smelled something like this before. But then I go to them, they talk about this story, which the story is something always different, and then I try it, I'm like, wow, what happened? I thought I already smelled everything in my life. But then there's something else that this year I was I forgot the name of that house, the Catherine something. If you Catherine hear us, I would have to actually reach out to her. She's based in London, but all the fragrances that she's making is the ingredients are coming from Africa, and then she used this oil or ingredients, Cambodian oud or Cambodian amber, that I've never tried it before, and I thought I already smelled a lot of oud, a lot of amber fragrances, but this, because it was just from that region, was just so different. The quality, it was so rich, it was just the way he was performing was so different. So I was very impressed with that. Then I was, you know what? The more we feel like we know, we actually don't. There's so much more to know, to get to know of this stuff.
Yeah, kind of like you said before with like the artisanal fragrance brands out there. Once it gets into like artisanal and indie territory, they start experimenting with different raw materials, the method of extraction. Even if it's something like a maceration process with agarwood, it's been macerated for 20, 30 years, and then it smells like very rich, and it has like a different personality about it. So it's interesting how there are brands out there that can afford to do that, when I guess among a lot of designer brands it might just be like a certain accord. You look up H24 by Hermes, for example, right? I really do enjoy that fragrance, but the clary sage ingredient that's in there is the sclarine molecule. So now every brand is like, oh, sclarine is popular, it's the new aromatic ingredient, so everybody wants to use it. But it's really interesting when you have like the real deal, and it's expensive, and it costs a lot to manufacture, and the concentration is high, and the creative expression is there. So you got to find out what that brand is, because I'm curious about this
actually
Cambodian
it's definitely start with Catherine, but I it's just, I'm sure there's a lot of other Catherine fragrance, but her last name I'll find out. I'll definitely let you know. Maybe
please,
later on we can just add it in the description, just let people know what the name of that perfume company was. Let's just ask you some personal questions.
Okay,
so I know you've been doing a YouTube channel and fragrance reviews for, I think it's been more than also a decade. Is that right?
11 years.
11 years now. And then you started, I think 5-6 years ago, you started Navitus Parfums. I think that was you got involved with that company. And then what else? I think, are you still doing teaching? Are you still a teacher at school, or?
I was until last week. I resigned.
Oh, you resigned. Oh, yeah.
I was teaching for an entire decade, but that was my day job. So it's interesting how like that kept me afloat, and I was occupied with that for 40 hours a week, and I guess now with the fragrance thing and the YouTube channel, and of course the creative direction, and I also do a little bit of freelance writing on the side, it's nice that I'm able to take something that I've been so passionate about for such a long time and just kind of make a career out of it. And when I'm at home and I'm thinking and I'm coming up with ideas and I'm brainstorming content, like I really feel like I'm in my element.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean that's a very big news, and decade of teaching, and you just resigned really last week.
Yeah, just last week. Yeah.
You're married and you have one children. Is that like 2 or 3 children? I forgot.
I just have one for
you
the
have
time
one.
being.
Yeah. I remember that actually when you. That's pretty good, man. Now it's like your full focus would be fragrances and YouTube channel and that part of it. Yeah.
I'd like to make it that, yes.
I think it's a good time. I think you've been working in this industry and like fragrances for a long time. I think it's a very great time to start that. Yeah.
I've thought about that, and it's something that's kind of effortless to me. I don't need to think too hard about it. Even when it comes to recording the videos, like I don't do a whole lot of research or preparation or anything like that. I just hit the record button, and whatever comes to mind, I say it. And you've been doing this for a long time as well, and you acquire a certain level of fluency and proficiency once you've smelled so many fragrances. You can just smell the blotter and say, oh, okay, this is an amber based scent, or this is an iris based scent, or whatever. So you kind of let your own internal compass guide you where you need to go in terms of what to say on camera. And like I said, I've seen you on camera before, and I know you have the nose for it, so you're a natural.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, training. We are always training our nose every day.
We are,
It's just getting stronger and stronger. It is, I've been saying this a lot before. When you go to a gym and you train for getting bigger muscles, getting stronger, your nose is the same thing. So the more you train it, the more you expose it to all these scents, well, it just gets better. So, as you mentioned, when you pick up a blotter, you smell something, you're like, oh, these are the stuff that are in there. And then it's such an interesting thing that, you know, you can connect all these dots in your mind and you pick up on those notes. But yeah, so, that's very interesting, man. I'm happy that,
Thank you.
you know, this is your passion, is that right? Like, this is what you love, passion.
It is, yeah. Since I was about like 9 or 10 years old, like I've been obsessed with fragrances, and I've tried to go back and think about like how did it all start, you know? And I think I really would have to credit my mother for getting me into this, because, you know, my mother is not very technologically savvy. So back in the day, we used to buy a lot of fragrances on the computer. So I would know how to navigate the internet. This was like late 90s or something like that. I want to say maybe early 2000s. And I would order a bunch of perfumes for her, and as a consolation or whatever, she would say, why don't you get a perfume for yourself? And I said, Ma, there's no such thing as smell-o-vision. Like, I don't know what these perfumes smell like. And she's like, oh no, but I had a cousin in Greece who wore Givenchy pie, and I think you'd really like this. I'm like, all right, sure. So I would buy all of these, basically blind buy a bunch of fragrances. And I remember even when I was in high school, I had like 30 bottles in my collection.
Oh, wow.
And all of my friends were wearing like Axe and Tag and Bod and all these body sprays, which are all great, by the way. And Gottlieb has done a lot of those wonderful.
That's how everyone started, I would say. Yeah,
exactly. And I wore Phoenix and Dark Temptation and some of these accents as well. But I was also wearing like Givenchy Pie and Paco Rabanne Pour Homme, and there's Aqua di Gio and Cool Water and Fahrenheit and all that stuff. So I always knew that I was really into designer fragrances. And it wasn't until, I want to say 2011 or 2012 when I discovered niche fragrances. And I said, wait, what is Creed? What is Xerjoff? What are these brands? Tom Ford. And, you know, then I really fell down the rabbit hole. But it's been wonderful. I mean, we have all these incredible brands here, and everything from Micallef to Akro. And, you know, it's just to know that there's so much variety out there, and you don't have to ever stop exploring. Like, there's always something new to discover. It's amazing.
So I always I'm amazed, even though right now I think I have around 20 bottles at my place in my house, even though it's not a lot, if you want to say that in this business I'm doing it, but I just can't have more because I keep switching them around. I don't keep them. Like every month I'll bring one, I try it for a month, and then I'll bring it back to the office and I just take more bottles in. But I've been amazed with a lot of people, a lot of customers that they are collectors, and I love that collection. So you know, when they're proud of these collection when they show it. It's just a different thing that people do, you know. So it's always been great to see them. But it's love, it's passion. So if you love it, you would definitely do it.
But 20 is actually a reasonable number.
20 is reasonable. But, you know, comparing to people that have 400 bottles is not that, it's not that significant. So,
I mean, and I got to be honest with you, there's so many fragrances that are sitting on the shelf all the way in the back, collecting dust. They haven't been worn in months, perhaps even years. And they've been neglected. You know, so as a collector, I guess it's nice if you're curating content for like a YouTube channel or a blog or something like that. But if you're not wearing them, you're still kind of harboring a sense of guilt. Like, oh, I bought this fragrance and it's just sitting in the back there. And I try to make an effort to wear as many as I can. But, you know, lately, I know a new fragrance that came out that I believe you guys carry is Supernova by Aaron Terrence Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's done so well. Everybody's talking about it. And I wore it to work every day for the past 3 weeks. Yeah. And I'm like, it just works.
And you know, every time, like I think that was like one of the fastest selling fragrances that we ever had. Anytime we got it, and then we were like, okay, so let's just make it live. And then we made it live, and then we really tried to make sure that it doesn't get sold out. So we have to have, and then it's just the amount of people that they were coming in on the website and they were buying it was like so fast that our system couldn't catch up with. So then every time we were like having like 2-3 back orders. I was like, oh man, what happened here? But that was like one of the best fragrances of this summer, I would say, that was released.
That's fantastic. And he works so hard.
He works very hard.
I actually just sent a bunch of samples of his fragrances to a friend of mine also in the community. So I sent like Supernova and Maverick and Ozone, and now he wants all of them. Yeah. He's like, wow, these are like really good. And they do last such a long time as well. And that's something that, you know, as a perfumer and somebody who's in the industry himself, like he knows how to manipulate these fixatives so that even with something like Supernova, which is a very bright, citrusy, fruity fragrance, like it has some weight to it, you know, it lasts a very long time. It's
I would say, I think, you know, Aaron, he won that award also last year at Scent Explorer.
Yeah.
I think the most popular perfumer,
was it?
rising
Yeah.
perfumers, rising perfumer.
Yeah.
And actually, he really deserved that. Whatever he's doing, he's been doing an amazing job. And I've been talking to him a lot. He just loves what he does. You know, he doesn't think about the commercial aspect of it that much. He only just wants to do what he loves and believes in. And he's like, and I hope people love it. And then people really love it. It's just because of how humble he is and how, you know, how much love and time he puts into this stuff.
And you can see even when he reviews fragrances, the fact that he can pick up on individual ingredients and actually like the chemical ingredients of it, and not just say, you know, this is coconut, but he'll say this is aldehyde C18 or whatever, not just, oh, this smells grassy, but it smells like cis-3 hexanol. And it's like, okay, this guy's a perfumer. Like he knows his stuff.
What
it's
he's
really
talking
impressive.
about. That's right. Yeah. Okay, let me just ask you this. I know it's a hard question. Top 3 fragrances that is like your go-to fragrance. I know you might like a lot of other things, but what are the top 3?
Oh, that's a good question. Wow. I guess it really just depends on like the occasion and the circumstance and whatever. And like I said, I have been wearing a lot of Supernova by Aaron Terrence Hughes. Today I'm wearing something that is kind of in a similar wheelhouse, Hachivat by Nishane.
Yeah.
So that's a wonderful fragrance too. And, you know, I guess I do wear some of the fragrances that I creatively direct as well. In the colder weather, especially, I do wear a lot of raised spirits. It's pleasantly spicy and warm and caramel-like. And it's hard because my list always changes, especially as a reviewer. I try to give every fragrance its due diligence. So I'll tell myself, okay, I'm going to be reviewing this in a week or 2 weeks. Like, let me wear it for like 4 or 5 consecutive days just to understand it a little bit better. So sometimes I end up wearing fragrances I don't really like that much. But I'm like, you know what? I want to give it some understanding and I want to make sure I'm good with it before I move on to something else. But Supernova is great. And I have also been wearing, believe it or not, it's an older fragrance and it doesn't get as much love anymore, but Gucci Guilty, the original,
for sure.
You know, that's a really interesting fragrance. And, you know, you'd be surprised how many like old school designer fragrances are still doing really well. I still love my Le Mans. I wore Le Mans by Jean-Paul Gaultier yesterday.
You know, those also were like, you know, they were easy. Everyone loves them. There was, you know, almost 99% of people you would meet, they were like, oh, this is a nice fragrance. You smell really good. So yeah, you can't go wrong with those, of course. So, you know, those are very interesting fragrances. Yeah, that's a good choice. These are your recent choices, I guess.
These are my recent. If it were up to my wife or whatever, like she loves Nautica Voyage.
Oh,
and that's like what, 15, 20 bucks or something like that. If I wore that every day,
if we can find it,
she'd be so happy.
Oh yeah. The only thing even though with Nautica Voyage, it lasts for 2-3 hours, and then I'm like, you know, sometimes people like it doesn't last. I'm like, you pay $10, so you know, just be happy about it. You know, spray a little bit more.
And it's 100 milliliter, I think, right?
So yeah, it's just it's a lot of juice in that one bottle. I want to maybe bring the conversation to Navitus Parfums.
Yeah, please.
But you guys started with Navitus Parfums 6-7 years ago, is that right?
A little more recent. I think it was November of 2019.
2019.
It was shortly before the pandemic.
Yeah. That's right, actually. Yeah. So, you know, I know there've been a lot of talks in the community. People are asking here that they want to know, like, what is Steven is doing with Navitus Parfum? Who has Navitus Parfum? Because also I know Navitus Parfum, they work with other influencers as well. They collaborate with them for sure. But, you know, I think I just kind of want to maybe clear this confusion. There's a lot of people asking. I'm sure you also get a lot of questions.
Yeah, I do get a lot of comments. So.
They're like, oh, what are you doing here? And then I'm like, you know, guys, just ask, you know, maybe talk to Steven when you see him. Just ask him what it is.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, let me ask you here too, so maybe you can explain that a little bit more. People can understand what's happening with it, or what is the structure, how much you're involved into it.
Of course. Yeah. Well, you mentioned 5 or 6 years, and it feels like that because I think I started working on Navitus Parfums in 2018 or something like that. And I was working on it for about 1.5 years because, you know, getting the logistics straightened out and the presentations and the smells and creatively directing 7 fragrances because the initial collection was 7 different fragrances. So it took a long time corresponding with 5 different perfume manufacturers, shortlisting it to 3 because the 3 original perfumers were Jorge Lee in Istanbul, Bertrand de Chauffour in Paris, and Christian Carbonell, otherwise known as Chris Maurice in Barcelona, Spain. So the brand was officially launched in 2019, and I'm the founding creative director, and I don't own the entirety of the brand. You met the CEO, actually, Hayan, and he's such an amazing person. He's a mentor to me, and he's so knowledgeable and so intelligent, but I do have equity in the brand.
I see.
So I am the founding creative director, and I still creatively direct fragrances as we go along. So the original 7 include, of course, Absolutio, Virtus, Navus, Primas, Oud Imperium, Oud Luxuria, so on and so forth. And then the next 3 that were released were Arcanum, Lautus, and Opulentas.
That's right.
And so when we started the brand, it was such an honor for me because I had a chance to do pretty much everything. Like I named the brand, I named the fragrances, I came up with the concept for it, I shortlisted the presentation, what each color of the bottle should be, and it was just a really nice experience just kind of being at the helm of it and saying, look, you're gonna write the briefs, you're gonna correspond with the perfumers, we'll visit the perfumers, we'll take a tour of their warehouses. So I did a few trips to Barcelona, or Spain I should say, and I met up with Chris Maurice on a number of occasions, and he's one of the most talented people I've ever met. But it's nice that, you know, there was this kind of talk internally, and it's like, look, you know, what we're doing, we can open the doors to other people. And there are a lot of other perfume brands that have had collaborations, not necessarily with influencers, but with different companies and different organizations. And we said, why not give other people the opportunity to do what I was so blessed to do. And so, of course, we started the collaborations with people like Buck Moore from the channel Big Beard Business, and Darian Hill, the Bowtie Fragrance guy. More recently, we've had Paulina Shar.
That's right.
And she has an eponymously titled YouTube channel. She's done Venom of Love, and more recently Kind Intentions, which has been doing really well. And then, of course, we have Aisha from AI the Great, and she's released a fragrance called Ambrosia Imperial, which is a vanilla, whipped cream, banana, and caramel fragrance.
Wow.
And it's like amazing. So, you know, they're responsible for the fragrances that they creatively direct, and I have no say in what they work on. So just to clear the air about that, you know, if I do talk about something on my channel that they've worked on, I had no say in the creative direction or the color of the bottle or the naming of the perfume or anything like that. So I do like to take a backseat approach when it comes to that stuff. And I do believe that nobody's creative freedom should be limited or impeded in any way. So all of these individuals that I mentioned, you know, they've had absolute, you know, free reign as far as, you know, the perfumer to work with, and, you know, the ingredients that should go into it, and the briefs, and what it should smell like. And we're just happy that the brand has grown so much over the course of the last 4 years, and, you know, the catalog has been increased. We have more than 30 fragrances now, which is like so hard to believe, right?
Yeah, I know.
You have the inventory downstairs, so you know what it looks like.
And you know, the thing is also, like, you know, whenever there people are talking about it and you guys get pre-orders, you know, they pay attention to these details and these influences, because, you know, I just want to let everyone also know it's not really easy to just, you know, create a fragrance, create a bottle. You know, there's so much going into production, packaging, you know, finding a right manufacturer, finding a right perfumer for it. It's just, there's so much layers of it that you don't have to keep. You get the perfumes, you try them, you don't like it, and just this back and forth of getting the right ingredients is a huge process. So, but I think Navitus Parfums it's deserved that. You know, it's been around for 4 or 5 years, and because you know, doing it, as you said, the catalog has grew significantly. And I also love the new website that you guys launched. I think it needed a lift, facelift, so it's everything looks good, everything looks very clear. But that's what it is. You start from a baseline and you just build on top of that. You make it better and better as you go.
Exactly. And with the website, we wanted to make it a lot easier to navigate. And, you know, we've noticed that this time around we put a section on there so all of the perfumers are highlighted, and people can look at things on a seasonal basis, like what's good for the summer, what's good for the winter. And you can also navigate by collaborator. So you can say, oh, I want to see like what has Aisha done, or what has Gabby done, or what has Paulina done. So everything is quite, you know, departmentalized very nicely on the website now. But it's like you said, it's a big process, and it's a big journey, and it's bittersweet at times, because the sweet aspect is when it's finally brought to market and it's like, oh my God, I'm holding it in my hands and it's so poignant to me and it has so much sentimental value. And then, you know, you think about the fragrances that the perfumers did make and how, you know, there might be certain mods that will never see the light of day, and you're like, oh, I love this one so much, but this one is a little more commercially viable, but maybe I should go with my gut. And so you're always going to have to make a decision among various offerings, and it's always hard to give one of them the axe. And you know, I know you've probably gone through a little bit of that yourself, and you know what the process is like internally. So it's difficult.
It's interesting, but it's just you know, it's the process. It's not what I always tell people is that I understand that maybe a fragrance doesn't work on your skin, or maybe it doesn't work with your body or whatever it is, but don't be too negative. Don't complain about it that much, because it's you know, maybe there's millions of bottles out there. If this doesn't work, go with something else. But complaining is not the best thing to do all the time. I can't hate any fragrances or any product that comes out. Maybe it doesn't work for me, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just the reality of it.
That's exactly right. It's funny because one fragrance that I really don't like is Gucci Guilty Absolute. And I remember when it came out, it just smelled smoky and leathery, and it was just a bit too dark, too aggressive for me. And I went to one of the Fragrance Foundation Awards, which I think might have been in 2018, and Alberto Morias, the perfumer, was there. And he was outside on the street, and he was smoking a cigarette. And I approached him with my friend Carlos at the time. And, you know, we said hello. You know, Carlos complimented him on it. And he goes, wow, what are you wearing? It smells good. And he goes, Gucci Guilty Absolute. And we're like, really? Because I didn't like it. So I was surprised to hear him say that. So it's really cool how, like, you know, fragrance is so subjective, and it's kind of like not everybody is going to have the same favorite pizza topping, right? Somebody might like anchovies, somebody might like pepperoni or pineapple. So, you know, there are certainly certain ingredients that I don't really care for too much. I'm not a huge fan of vetiver. I'm not a huge fan of like heady floral ingredients, whether it be like freesia or narcissus or anything like that. But I know there's a market for that out there. So, you know, I'm always coming into it from a tactful and respectful angle of, you know, this doesn't work for me. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't work with my skin chemistry. But, you know, there's always going to be a group of people out there that would love this. And so I try to keep an open mind with everything that I review. And it's kind of hard to talk about something that is so subjective in an objective manner. You know what I mean?
That's right. Yeah. For me, I would say a lot of time when a fragrance comes out, the first person that I would go watch is you, because I'm like, you know, Steven is kind of have like a benchmark, because he, you know, he looks at it differently. It's all about, you know, the science behind it, the perfumer, and how all these stuff come together. I'm like, okay, so thank you, Steven. Now I know a little bit more. So let me go on and then just, you know, do my own research a little bit more about it. Thank you. Yeah, I think, you know, it's always great to have you out there and just educate people, because I know this is what you love and the goal is. How many times you do YouTube videos, or you record in a week?
I record a couple of times a week, but I publish every day.
Every day.
So every day. Yeah, I do publish every day. So it's hard to keep up sometimes, and it never feels obligatory, which is good. Like, there's never a time when I'm like, oh my God, I have to publish today. It's like, oh, I get to publish today. And sometimes I'm so eager that I want to publish like 2 or 3 in a day, which maybe in the future I should start doing that. But, you know, I'm always interested in seeing the comments and the interaction and like, how is this video going to do? And I'm kind of into that, right? Like, I look at the metrics and the analytics, and I'm like, well, this video did a little bit better than the previous one. And I'm trying to, like you said, provide a source of education for people. So as opposed to, you know, maybe publishing like a top 10 video, you know, every day or every other day, you know, if there is an obscure niche fragrance that I would imagine a lot of people wouldn't care too much about, you know, there might be a few people out there that are really eager to learn about it, and maybe there just aren't as many reviews on YouTube as one would like. And so, you know, I always take advantage of the opportunity to review something that is lesser known.
Sure. Yeah, because I know there is something with algorithm that, you know, if you put the top 10, top 5, top whatever, or like some certain brands, you definitely got to get more views, you definitely get more clicks. But then how many times everyone want to talk about that? You know, then there's so many other things that are out there that they need the attention, they need the work, someone talk about them. You know, that's what we are also focusing on, even though I know I don't get enough clicks on some of this, but it's, you know, maybe one day, 5 years, 3 years from now, people appreciate that. So, but it's, I think it's just that part of it.
And it's happened, right? Like a fragrance will come out and then it won't be popular for a number of years. Like, I remember I was talking to Olivier Cresp a few years ago, and he was telling me about when Angel by Thierry Mugler was composed, because he worked on Angel. I think it came out in 92 or something. He goes, when it first came out, it didn't do well at all. It actually took a number of years before it started to pick up steam. And coincidentally and impressively enough, it's the first Gourmand fragrance ever composed.
Wow.
You know, and then of course they followed suit in 95 with Jacques Couclier, who made the men's version. So it's interesting to see how, like, you know, you might be reviewing something today from a brand that maybe doesn't have the attention that it deserves, but in 2 or 3 years, everybody's talking about it. You know, it's funny, I know you carry Parfum de Marly as well. And one fragrance that I personally love that I discovered maybe a year or two ago is Darly.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody's talking about Herod and Pegasus and
Leighton.
Carlisle and Leighton and Exclusives and all that. But Darly is like a cross between Creed's original Santal and Amouage's Reflection for Men. And when I made that connection, I was like, this is amazing. Like, it's fresh, it's spicy, it's cinnamony, it's this, it's that, lavender, mint. And now people are like commenting on my videos. They're like, oh yeah, this has always been my favorite. And I'm like, where were you? Because nobody's talking about it. Now everybody's coming out of the woodwork. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, you know, it's surprisingly, because I can't, you know, I know with Parfum de Marly also, they've been doing a great job at, you know, bringing new fragrances out. A lot of great fragrances that have been released in the past couple of years. And they always, what I also understood is that if a fragrance doesn't work, they discontinue that very fast too. Like Acaster, there was one of them. But Darly, I was like, keep looking at it. They kept it in the collection and it's still there. I was like, wow, there's something about this fragrance, but it's not appreciated as much. But because then, you know, as you said, talking about Leighton, Pegasus, and Herod was just so much that Darly had no chance. So same thing with Georgia of Tony Lomi, I guess. Yeah, that was also 4 years ago. I think 3-4 years ago it was released. No one really talks about it. No one. I mean, there were some talks, but no one appreciated. But now recently, it's just like it's one of the hottest fragrances out there.
And that's a great caramel scent as well.
It's a very caramel. Yeah. So, but. Yeah, that's interesting. It takes time. People have to understand it. They have to try it a little bit more, and then you have to be consistent about telling people this story, and then at some point they get it.
I've noticed that with a lot of designer too.
Designers
like,
as well, yeah.
So many years ago, right? Bulgari came out with Tiger.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, a lot of those original fragrances in the Le Gem collection, like Garanat, and there's Tiger and Onek and Gian, and, you know, people didn't really talk about them. They talked about the regular Bulgari fragrances, Bulgari Man, Bulgari Black, so on and so forth, Man in Black, which is a flanker. And then after a while, everybody discovered Tiger. And it's like, oh, Tiger is so great. And I've seen so many other brands kind of put out their own version of like that grapefruit and Ambroxan thing. And I love it. Like, I welcome it. I did a video a couple weeks ago where it's like the 10 fragrances to check out if you like Bulgari Tiger. And coincidentally, our friend Aaron Terrence Hughes, he has a couple of fragrances, Haze Blue and Haze Black.
That's right.
And they have a similar DNA, I would say, but the longevity is so much better. So I think what we're also seeing is that brands will put out something, but other brands might take that DNA, if you will, put their own spin on it, but in many cases actually improve it. So I always look forward to that.
Well, but Tiger is now discontinued, isn't that right? It's like they don't produce that much anymore.
I hope that's not true.
I mean, I have to check again.
Stuff.
But what I heard is like they're trying to discontinue that. But you know, also don't, you know, sometimes what happens with designers is that they discontinue that version, but they relaunch it again in like 6 months with a new packaging, new formulation, and all that stuff. So we'll see. But there are rumors. So, you know, the rumors comes in, you know, you don't know what it is. But yeah, that's
Dior does that a lot.
Dior do that a lot. Yeah, like Dior Homme Intense. I had a lot of people that like they have the 2021 version. I'm like, no, they have a 20. No, guys, like we have the most recent version. Like that's the popular, I would say, formulation with Dior Homme Intense is 2020. That's what everyone loves. So if you guys have bottles, sell it on eBay. Just keep it. Hold on to it. You're probably gonna sell it for $500 bottle soon. So
I can only imagine. Let me ask you a question. Do you have people who call you and ask you if you have specific batches of Creed products?
Yeah, we still do. But recently, what happened with Creed, because they were going through this problem themselves, Creed, that people were going to the Creed stores or boutique Neiman departments, so they were asking for specific batches. And then they kind of realized that, well, this is not good for business. So now a lot of new Creed bottles from 2022, 2023 that you get, they don't have batches anymore.
Interesting.
So they were like, we don't want to deal with this anymore. Don't ask me for a 2021 X01, because it was interesting for some time, because, you know, it was a game for people to find that correct batch. And I understand. But now I think it wasn't good for business anymore, now that they were growing. So now the new bottles of Creeds, and then we actually got a lot of questions with customers as well. They were like, oh, is this a real bottle of Creed? What is happening? And I'm like, no, guys, like, it's just what Creed is doing. But we still do get it.
I can just imagine. Yeah, the unfortunate thing with Creed specifically is they are counterfeited so badly.
Yeah. Oh, it's heavily out there.
So I know a lot of these changes that are made internally with like the presentation and the batch and the different cap and the shape of the bottle and the label and blah, blah, blah. And it's
the
like,
card, how many cards, all
how
that
many different
stuff,
languages, is this an international variation, blah, blah, blah. It's just been a nightmare. So even with brands like that, I'm like, I would rather buy it from you guys because you guys are reputable, or I would just go straight to the boutique or like a Neiman or something.
Yeah,
Can't take a chance.
Yeah, it's just and also the quality of these counterfeit products are getting so much better, so it's just very hard to differentiate. But you can always tell, when you get a real one and a fake one, there's like details that you get. It's the feeling of the box about. Oh yeah, of course, this is like I would say time for a matter of 2-3 months, because what we do, we offer free returns, so we don't charge a restocking fee. We just tell people to return everything. It's just easier for customers, for us. But then you always get some people that they want to abuse the system, so we started getting a lot of returns for brands like MFK, Creed, and Chanel. Then we started, because we work with this company too, that they kind of help us to pick those people that they have the same kind of characteristic when they're placing orders, so we know if it's fraudulent order or they're abusing your system. So then we were getting all these returns from same kind of addresses, and it was mostly MFKs. We were processing it. Then every time we process, we open the bottles to make sure everything is okay. But what I realized, this person was opening the boxes, seal it back very nicely, and he put poker chips instead of a bottle of MFK in there. So the weight of the box and the bottle would be the exact same weight as a full bottle.
Wow.
And then those bottles, we cut maybe 20 of them, but two, because we were processing, we were just waiting, and the seal was like not touched. It was pretty good. So I think our return processing center, they didn't really see it, and they ship it to another customer. So the customer reached out, they were like, oh guys, I got it, but I had poker chips. And I was like, what are you guys talking about? And then we realized there's this system that's going on and happening out there. Yeah, but
and it sucks. You can't control what people do.
You can't control it, and they're getting very good at this little things.
What was the value of the poker chips? I want to know.
I know. I really
Can you walk into a Caesars or something?
Yeah, I know.
Cash them in?
Yeah, they were good. I would give it to them though. They were good quality poker chips.
Okay,
they were heavy. Every poker chip was heavy. But now we because we don't want to go through that again.
Yeah.
So every time we get everything back, we open them. We're like, just let's see what's inside it, because you don't know what's happening out there.
Could you guys use it as a tester at the end of the day?
So that's what we usually do. So whenever we get it back, we inspect them to make sure it's good, everything is okay, and then we just use it back for 5 mls, 10 mls. That's what we reuse. That's actually a good thing, at least, that we have that option of 5 and 10 mls. So every time we get back, we just put it back to use it for the small bottles. We don't have 10 mls anymore, 5 ml. Yeah.
And that's good too. So often I do review a lot of niche products, and recently with a lot of Sospiros and MFK and whatnot, people want to try stuff, right? Like, people don't have $300, $400 of disposable income just lying around, so they want to see, like, let me try it, let me see if it works for me. And sometimes, especially if they are a collector, they don't want something that's redundant, and people, they can be collectors but still be selective in the process. So it's nice that you offer that service, and you're taking a return and you're kind of repurposing it for that. I think it's good.
Sure. I mean, the problem is also 90% of our business is online, even though we have the showroom. But again, it's not a premium boutique location.
Sure.
They have events here. People will show up. It's good. But the only way for us, and also when we get a lot of new fragrances, is it's fragrances, so people have to try them before they buy it. So then this is the best way for people to sample the products, and if they can come to the store, they try it. So then it's been fun. I mean, people loved it a lot, so that's why we keep trying to work on it and make it better and better. But yeah, that's a very good point. And then we always tell customers, don't buy even though we've offered free returns, don't buy the full bottle. You don't know. Get the 5 ml if you like it, then we can buy the full bottle of it. But it's the best way of sampling products.
That's what I do on the channel too. I say don't blind buy. You know, the best thing is if you have a place where you can try it in store, and you know, people have confided in me in the past that it's like, look, with a lot of these high-end niche brands, like I might go to like a local department store, I'll try it in the department store, but they know they can find it on your website for a much better price. So then they turn around and buy it from you guys. But I always tell them, like, look, just try it for yourself, try it on skin. There's a chance that, you know, you might try something, it smells really, really good on somebody else, but on your skin, maybe it falls flat a little bit. And, you know, it depends on so much, your diet, your pH levels, and people use the term skin chemistry, but it's actually true. Like, it does affect people differently. And do you have oily skin or dry skin? For some people, it evolves rather quickly. For others, like the top notes linger a little bit longer. So the diffusiveness changes with a lot of these
I was
things.
actually talking to Hamid Merati Kashani.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and then he was explaining to me about what affects the quality or the reaction of a fragrance on your skin a lot too is how much water you drink. Is your body hydrated enough? Have you been drinking? Because if your body is too dry, you're not drinking a lot of water, then the fragrance is going to react differently. And then when you actually, the day that you drink enough water, a liter or two, and then you try a fragrance, you can see how it affects the longevity, the performance, and how that fragrances react. And I never knew, I didn't even think about it. And then I started actually experiencing on that method. I was like, wow, this is really helps the fragrance to perform better if you're hydrated, if you have enough liquid in your body, and then it just performs differently.
Wow.
So, but there's a lot of little things in there that can help a perfume or a fragrance to perform differently. So there's a lot of things to know, and if
there is a lot to take in.
And if you spend $400 or $500 on a bottle, it's good to know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ready to try some fragrances?
I've been looking at them for the past 20 minutes. I'm so excited.
So let's start with, actually, now that you're here, we start with Navitus.
Let's see what that smells like. Yeah.
Raised Spirits.
Yeah.
Extrait de Parfum. Is this the one that you creative directive?
Yeah, I did.
Helped? Yeah, nice.
So that's the one that I worked on most recently. It was released in the middle of fall last year, and I was waiting on it specifically, even though it was ready by like spring or summer. But I said, this is a fall-oriented fragrance, very strongly concentrated in the vein of like 24-25%. And this one was composed by Dominic Ropion and Julien Rascanet, and they're both incredible perfumers. You know, Dominic Ropion has done Alien for Women by Thierry Mugler, and Julien Rascanet has done Creed's Royal Oud. He's done Asian Green Tea. He's done a lot of really, really good fragrances. Thank you. So this one, it does have like this cinnamon caramel type of a vibe to it, and there's a little bit of brown sugar syrup, and there's sugar cane, and it's a very sort of warm, spicy, ambery. Jennifer, I would love your opinion as well.
Yeah.
You know, it was interesting because playing around with this one, especially in the summertime, was like, wow, this stuff is really, really strong. Like, do we need to dial it back? And it's like, no. Like, wait, in the winter or in the fall, it's not going to be that strong.
Yeah.
It's still pretty strong.
Still pretty strong, but you know, I still feel like you can wear this even in summertime. Summer nights, I would say, if you go out, like at a dinner, this is a beautiful fragrance.
There's a nice breeze in the air, and you know, I was just thinking about the name and everything that inspired it, and there's just something about this one. I suppose it's the Gourmand ingredients, but I've always taken very nicely to Gourmand aromas, and you know, this is the type of fragrance that really lifts my spirits, you know, hence the name Raised Spirits. But there is this sort of dark rum ingredient in here, and so I was thinking of raised spirits as in you raise a spirit or a glass, and when you do that, you make a toast. And also the triple entendre meaning of that is raised spirits in terms of, you know, the spirit being kind of the animating life force of a person's body. So, you know, maybe the ascension to heaven or the afterplane, or however you want to look at it. So it was also a tribute or a dedication to those who I've had in my life that I no longer have here with me on earth. So I guess it's a very sort of poignant and sentimental fragrance for me, but I love the way that it smells. And
smells good.
Thank you.
I love this.
It took a long, this was the first time that I released just one fragrance, you know, because even with the collection before this one, I released Away, Imperial, and Emblazed, and they were all inspired by some of my favorite works of literature. And so here I said, look, for this next one, I just want to focus on one. I want to pour all of my heart and soul and attention and passion into this, and I'm so satisfied with the outcome. So
yeah, well, I mean, I can also say like this is almost sold out here. So I mean, it's one of the best selling fragrances in Navitus Parfum line as well.
Thank you.
So it's a well done job for sure, man. This is beautiful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Hamid. It's always nice hearing about it from somebody else, you know?
You know, it's not the same, but I think in the first collection also you had, if I'm not butchering the name, I don't, not Primus, Absolutio. That was
red
also almond, cherry. Is that right? If I'm,
Absolutely, yeah. So a little bit of amber wood, and it had like this leathery sort of ambergris almond cherry vibe to it. Yeah, that one
I really liked too. It was because also, as you mentioned, you released that in November, so that was one of the fragrances that I was. I mean, yeah, this is what I love, so I'll take one bottle for myself as well. That was a really, really nice fragrance. Well done. This one is different. Yeah, I see that you guys also changed the packaging a little bit. Is the first collection has the same packaging, or no? You are also repackaging those as well.
Yeah, so this packaging is a little bit different. It's the one that opens up, you know, vertically.
Yeah.
And the older presentation was with the drawer style presentation with like the silk lining on the inside and the silhouette. And so this one, the presentation is a little bit easier to manufacture. So this is actually more inexpensive than the first collection, which at MSRP was like 195. Yeah. So I think this one is like 145 MSRP, but you know, you and I are always running deals, so you can always find it for a better price.
Better prices for sure. Yeah, you guys have great deals. Always great deals. Like, and especially when you buy more, and I see people love that. They want to, you know, experience the whole collection. So the 5-6 bottles, and then you almost get like sometimes 30-40% off, which is like a great deal on these fragrances. And it's the quality of these stuff are really there. So don't worry about if you're spending any money on Navitus Parfum. You get good quality things.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Are you guys still doing the discovery sets as well?
So we do have the discovery sets coming out, and of course with more and more fragrances that we release, we try to make it as inclusive as possible. And you know, when people buy the discovery sets, they're always looking to experience some of the more recent offerings, because that's the one that is generating the most interest as of late. So we're trying to find ways to always release discovery sets but make them make sense. So we want to release it in a way that, okay, well, maybe in this collection these are seasonally appropriate for the hotter weather, here it's for the colder weather. And you know, once they go, then we kind of re-strategize and we think, okay, well, you know, we've added X amount of fragrances to the collection since the release of the last discovery set, so how can we include these in the most recent discovery set? So the discovery sets are always manufactured in a limited quantity, and every time it sells out, there's a very small chance that we'll ever make them again. But we'll always find a way to include some of these hits and beloved fragrances in the recent discovery sets that we choose to put out there. So
yeah, I see also that people love these type of sets because they get the chance to try everything. And I've seen them that also, you know, I've seen it with a lot of brands that they take it out, like there's a family reunion, or like everybody's getting together, friends, and they just bring a discovery set out, and then 20 people smell them, and then you have 5 people, oh, I want these bottles. So it's actually a great item to, first of all, you get all your friends and family together, and also, you know, people order the bottles. So it's actually very good. I love discovery sets because everyone has a different taste and smell as we spoke. So this is a perfect thing that to do, and I'm glad you guys are doing it, because a lot of brands, they don't have discovery set. I always tell them, please guys, make a discovery set so people can really discover the brand.
It's so funny because we purchased so many discovery sets when we were looking to see like what should we do with ours. And we wanted to basically take the best from all of the ones that we've had. So they're all individually boxed. They all have crimped on atomizers, which is kind of hard to find in a discovery set. So they're effectively like travel atomizers. We under promise and over deliver, I think, because we advertise a certain quantity of mLs in each bottle, but we actually put a little more.
Because they're a little bit bigger than this side.
So it's funny when people buy it and then they open it up with the flap or whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, like, and then you have a card on the inside with like all of the notes and the perfumers, and we try to make it as informative as possible and try to take the guesswork out of things, because I know how it's been for me whenever I get like a sample from a website and then I go on like an online fragrance database or forum and I'm like looking up the notes and the year of release and the perfumer and this, that, and if as much information as we can include in the discovery set just to simplify the process for consumers, I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, for sure. 100% agree with that. That's why we also try to, put more information on our website so people don't need to go to all these sources to find what they need. So we give them as much as information that we can in one page.
I love what you guys are
But
doing.
that's what's what's really needed in this industry. The more information is out there, the easier for people to make a decision.
Absolutely.
So now that we're doing gourmands, let's still work on. Let's go to the next one, which is the newest Akro fragrance. And I didn't know that. You just mentioned it today too. That Olivier Cresp, he is actually the pioneer of gourmand fragrances. So he started the whole thing. So and then it's it. Yeah.
I've never tried this one.
No.
No.
I actually tried this the first time 3-4 months ago. But this is just as gourmand as it gets. Yeah.
This is nice. I get lemon and vanilla.
That's right. Yeah.
It's like a lemon cookie almost, right?
And when you the first initial spray is very gourmand, and it's very it's bake, so it gives you that bakery vanilla feeling, but the dry down gets to that lemon citrusy part of it.
Really?
Yeah. It's actually such a fun fragrance.
Oh, this is so like bright and zesty. It reminds me of lemongrass. And there's another perfumer that does this combination all the time. Her name is Sarah McCartney.
Oh.
And she has the brand called 4160 Tuesdays London. And just this combination of like lemon or lemongrass and vanilla, where it has that contrast between like bright and zesty, but like warm and sweet. It's so beautiful. Yeah. Wow. This is really, really nice.
I think last year there was I forgot the name of that brand actually. That was one of the most popular. I think it was Minuit Demi by Fragrance to Bois by Demi Rowling. That was a really good gourmand fragrance. People loved it. I think this year this can be the 2023 best gourmand fragrance.
Yeah, or even fun. Like the current gourmand trend. Right?
Yeah, the current gourmand trend that is out there. Yeah.
No, this is really, really nice. So you smell something like this and it gets you thinking like, when would I wear this? And it's like, it's so bright and zesty. Like, hey, maybe I will wear it in the summer. But if it's anchored by like that warm, long lasting vanilla, then, it might be like an all year round type of scent. This is really, really nice. Wow.
Do you think this, this is a very unisex fragrance. I think it
is.
Because I know a lot of gourmand fragrances are more on leaning feminine side, but I would wear it. I would be comfortable wearing it.
I would too. I think with a lot of fragrances, especially if they utilize a lot of ethyl maltol and it goes in that like cotton candy type of a direction, I think that's the gourmand that a lot of people would say like, oh, it's a little feminine and I'd rather not. But I think vanilla, who dislikes the smell of vanilla, right? Like it's said to be an aphrodisiac apparently. So no, I think it smells amazing. I have Awake, I have Ink, I have I think one or two others from the brand, and everything he puts out seems to be really, really high quality, very well thought out.
Yeah, again, I've been enjoying Akro fragrances a lot recently, and again, I met Olivier Cresp a couple of months ago, and I just loved how humble he was, even though he's like a celebrity. So he was such a nice gentleman.
Absolutely.
So now that we're doing, let's continue with gourmand fragrances. So next one. So I'm not sure if you heard of Korloff fragrances. They're mostly in jewelry design and I think they also have some clothing line as well. But they used to do fragrances a lot like 5-6 years ago, but they were mostly on low range prices. I would say 5-6 months ago they released their niche line of Korloff perfumes, and so the name of this fragrance it's like Plaisir Gourmand or Plaisir Gourmand. It's pretty much.
Oh, it's French, huh?
Yeah, it's very French. Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, they released this maybe 3-4 months ago, and I've been working on it a little bit, and I like the fragrance, and this is one of the most popular ones that people. I don't know what it is with the gourmand trend, but I think just people they love this stuff.
And I think people don't discriminate. It's like if it's like a heavy wood or incense, it's like, oh, I'll wait until the winter. With a gourmand, it's like, I don't care. I'll wear it in the summer, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Okay, that's different.
Yeah, it's the happiest. It's not that gourmand, but it is a little bit. It's more on the fresh side of it and citrusy side of it, I would say.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, it's not a full-on gourmand.
Yeah.
Might even be a little woodsy.
Exactly.
Right? Wow. Maybe even like a little cedar. right?
A little bit of
Yeah.
cedar in that too as well, because you know when the name is kind of takes you to the place that is it must be gourmand. But again,
Yeah.
I don't know what Plaisir or Plaisir means in French, so maybe it's not really. But it has that gourmand characters in it, but it's very fresh and, as you said, woodsy a little bit. But it lasts long. I started wearing it the other day because it's good for summertime as well. I actually had a good time. I got a lot of compliment on it as well. So it's actually a pretty fun fragrance to wear. But yeah, I don't know the notes on it. Chocolate.
Sounds like Dior.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, pretty much. You're right. Yeah, but you were good.
But
you know,
the cedar, I get
the cedar. You
yeah,
definitely. But I don't really get the chocolate that much in it.
No,
It's
not really.
very subtle if it's there. I mean, I have to try it on the skin again.
Interesting. There was also another fragrance that had a similar breakdown by Valentino. It's called Valentino Uomo Noir Absolu.
Oh,
And it was
in
like
the
a black bottle with like
yeah.
a gold label, I think. And that also had like a gourmand iris kind of a vibe, but
So this is like one of the newest brand that I mean, now that we're talking about, I don't think we even listed it yet. So we're working on to list these fragrances.
wow, okay.
But this is I don't want to butcher the pronunciation, Mebizu or Mesbizus, but you know this is from Turkey as well, so
Okay.
she's a very actually nice fragrance lover, perfumer, and then she started her own line of fragrances, and this is Talk is Smoky to Me. So yeah, let's just and then
cool.
it's like actually, you know what, this it's very, very interesting. So it says tobacco flirting with vanilla, and that's how this fragrance is like gives you that energy or vibe, is talking smoky to me. You know, that's what it is.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so let's see. It should be a gourmand fragrance, but more on a tobacco and smoky side of it. So let's see. I've never tried
Well,
this
I
before.
like tobacco and vanilla.
Yeah. Oh, so
you
I think
know,
maybe you
if
probably
it
gonna
comes
like
to like
this.
Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford,
Oh,
or
yes.
you know.
Yeah. So it's my first impression on this as well. So
Interesting.
let's
Thank
see.
you.
Jennifer, this is for you. Wow, it says already smells good.
Oh, wow. It's a little boozy too, I think, right?
It is boozy. It's, you know, it's that booziness. It's, I would say, like champagne, like, you know, it's that bubbly kind of a boozy.
Yeah.
Which makes it fruity too a little bit, but yeah.
Yeah, it's a little sweet. Can't say I'm getting entirely vanilla. Like vanilla's in there, but I feel like the sweetness is coming from something else too. Oh, that's interesting.
Wow. It's kind of new. You know, it's unique the way this fragrance is. I've never really tried that many. It reminds me of some stuff, but I can't really say what fragrance it reminds me of.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of sweet along the lines of, not as sweet, of course, but if you think of like a Paco Rabanne 1 million, like it kind of has a little bit of that sort of, not bubblegum sweetness, but you can tell there's something in there that's kind of sweet. It also smells a little bit like Sketchbook Page 33 by Xerjoff. That is another one in that sweet sort of territory. That's nice.
Yeah. It's nice. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
This is also fun. Like the last three, even, you know, all of these that we smelled so far, they are so fun. They're so cozy. I would love to smell it on someone else. Would you wear this? Like if you had it in your collection?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Can you look, Jennifer, now that you're there, can you look up the notes?
Yes.
See, I wanna, and this is exactly, again, this is very new that I didn't even have a chance to look at the notes. So
yeah, and if I'm being honest with you, I'm not really familiar with this brand. Yeah, maybe even something a little fruity, maybe a little apple, like a sweet vanilla apple tobacco. Not too smoky, actually. You know, when I think of smoke, I think of like birch tar or cade oil or something like that, and I'm not getting that. It doesn't smell incensey to me.
No, you know, no, not at all. I mean, even though the name gives you that impression that it's gonna be very smoky and tobacco-y, but it's not actually. It's as you said, it's boozy, more fruity, and a little bit vanilla in there. So it's fun. It's good.
So the notes are cherry,
Cherry,
bergamot, rose, iris, tobacco, vanilla, and amber.
Wow. Cherry, bergamot, rose, tobacco, vanilla, amber, and what else am I missing? Bergamot.
Wow.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that.
No, me neither.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that actually. But I like
Wow.
it. Yeah. I like that a lot.
That is really good. Yeah, this is definitely one that I would wear.
Yeah, nice.
100%.
Now that we review those or like talk about those fragrances, I'm going to let's talk about more these fragrances that they've been trending and everybody was loving it, and there's just like there's a huge hype about them.
Yeah.
So I want to know, like, I want to kind of see what's your opinion and if they really worth that hype.
Okay.
So the first one is Gntonic by Micallef. So have you tried it before?
No, but I've heard a lot about it.
Yeah. So this fragrance, I think it's what I love about these guys. When they release it at a perfect time. They release it in May. It's just right before summer. So summer is coming up. Gntonic is a drink that everyone drinks during summertime.
Sure.
So it's very popular, and I loved it. I actually loved it, and I was like, you know what? It's such a beautiful release in the past couple of months that I saw in a freshy kind of a summer scent. So
let's see.
Give us your opinion on it and if it's worth the hype.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. It's so good.
It's so good, man. Like we had about, I think, 160 or 100 something bottles, and I was like, all right, so this gotta last us for a whole summer, but we already sold out. One of the best, I would say, summer fragrances that we had in a while.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's so funny because like gin, right? You think of like juniper berry, and it could be a little astringent, and I don't know if you've ever tried Bombay Sapphire.
Yes.
But just the smell of it, it's like, oh, that's such a unique, interesting, like spicy smell, and it's always interesting putting it in like because tonic water can be a little sweet, and there's corn syrup in there and whatever. But here it has the citrus and a little bit of mint, and it's just so bright and fresh and uplifting, but it still has like that spicy astringent quality in there, but it's not like a plain citrus.
That's
so
right.
I think people are really gonna love this one. Another brand that we were talking about off camera is Miss Sincere.
That's right. Yeah.
And they have one called Blue Gin.
Oh, that one is actually very good as well.
That one is great.
Yeah.
That one is much spicier, I think. This one is much fresher. So I see a lot of people really enjoying this one.
That Blue Gin is also like from Miss Sincere line. I think Perfect Oud is one of the best seller. Since they released that, what was it, gin? What was it again? The name of the fragrance?
Blue Gin?
Blue Gin?
Uh-huh.
That's actually one. Every time we bring it in, it gets sold out in a matter of like a week. So
Really?
there's something about it that people love, that DNA. And like, just talk about it a little bit more. This one has peppermint, pink pepper that you pick. There's lime, ginger, and it has tonic and gin in it. Lily of Valley, orange blossom, cedarwood, nutmeg, and white musk, vetiver, sandalwood, dry amber, and moss. It's actually pretty good,
But the mint and the citrus, wow.
Yeah.
Really
and I
does
think
magic.
what I loved about this fragrance was that I started wearing it because when you get to that fresh or citrusy fragrances, the longevity always comes in question. How long does it last? Because it's just so fresh. But this one actually lasts pretty long. I would say 6-7 hours that you can still
Really?
You can after, I would say 4 hours, it becomes more like a skin scent. So you have to but it still stays on you. Yeah.
This is wonderful. Wow.
Yeah.
I think, people who are a fan of there's a Louis Vuitton fragrance called Afternoon Swim. So I think if people are a fan of that fragrance, this one is kind of going to be in that wheelhouse. But it's really, really nice.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, I love this one.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
This one definitely lives up to the hype. This is one I would get.
Definitely beautiful.
Yeah.
So now, next one is Vibrato.
Okay.
So Vibrato by Sospiro, which is, on fire, man. Like, I've been, every time we bring it in, it's just like everybody talks, there's always a Vibrato. And then I have a bottle of it and I wear it most of the time. This is a very nice fragrance. So have you tried it? I think you've tried it once before.
I tried it here actually.
Yeah. So this
a few months ago,
maybe not. I would love to, hear more about this from you. So maybe you can, include it in your channel and get deep into
I would love
it.
that. Yeah.
So let's see if it's worth the hype.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
This is summer of 2023.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard for somebody to smell this and say, nah, I don't care for it. Like, it's just
very hard.
so magical,
Yeah.
right?
Man, woman, I think it might be something that is more sexier on a man when they wear it, but I think a woman can also wear this and just have a great time with it in the summertime.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is that grapefruit and Broxen combination. I'm not sure what else is in here, but right away I get that tartness in the opening, and there's like this fresh and sort of like a underlying aquatic quality to it.
Yeah.
That is really, really good.
Yeah, and the perfumer behind this fragrance is Christian
Provenzano. Yeah.
And he's doing a lot of great fragrances, and he really nailed this fragrance. And I've been getting a lot of feedback from customers, even the reviews that are coming in on the website, or other websites like Fragrantica, and everywhere I look, everyone is like reviewing it 4.5, 5, and I was like, oh, it is a very nice scent.
No,
I love the packaging.
amazing.
I love everything about it. So
yeah, Christian Provenzano, I think he's also done, because he makes a lot of fragrances for Spirit of Kings.
that's right. Yeah,
And he did one called Arakis.
that's right.
And this one is
Yeah,
kind of in
actually,
that same vein.
I've heard that people also compare this to Arakis as well, which is there is some similarities, but I guess because he's the same perfumer, as you said, there are some perfumes that they get out there and people like, and we would use the same DNA and just make it better. So, and it's just
a little different, yeah.
A little different.
And
exactly.
I've noticed that too, it's like, even when it comes to, let's say, something like Awake by Akro, right? It's a beautiful coffee-based fragrance. But you have coffee expressed, excuse me, I almost said espresso, because I'm thinking of coffee. You have coffee expressed in so many different ways, some of them can be kind of bitter, some of them can be gourmandy, and it's like, you take that fresh citrusy combination, and it's like, we can totally change up the aura of this fragrance if we add some woods, or if we add some spices, and so, like, the possibilities are endless. But, the performance from Vibrato is pretty good, I would say.
I would say, when we are talking about performance, are we talking about sillage or the longevity? That's the whole combination.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of both. It's very good.
Yeah.
As a fresh scent again, like Micallef Gntonic, they're really good.
Wow.
Like, I would say you can. First of all, you will be noticed when you walk into a room. If you want to leave a trail of you or your scent, you will do it, and it lasts much better on your skin than your clothes.
Okay.
So if your body works with this fragrance, you're okay. Yeah. So it's still loud. You would get compliment on it. It's pretty good.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, my experience with Sospiro, everything from Overture to Erba Pura, everything lasts a very long time on my skin. So I'm not surprised. I mean, given the fact that it's citrus heavy, a lot of citrus fragrances last 5 hours on my skin, or 4 hours or something like that, but never had any adverse experiences like that with Sospiro. Like, it's always done really, really well.
Good. Yeah, well, when I was also talking to the owner of Sospiro, and he was explaining to me that they try to use as much high concentration as they could in the fragrance, because sometimes when you also do a little bit higher concentration, you go to 40%, 35, then it doesn't project as well.
Yeah.
But they went through around 700 to 1,000 back and forth with the perfumers, with this, to find the right combination to make the vibrato, and it took them. For vibrato itself, he was telling me about 800 times back and forth, different formulation, changing it, and they made a 35% concentration. So it's high. So it's a very high concentration by a fragrance. That's why it lasts long. That's why it's a little bit. I mean, it's $325, which is not bad, but also I know it's more on the expensive side of it, but it's a good performing fragrance.
Yeah, people are finding the value in it, and they could see the results for themselves, right? They spray it on and they get 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of longevity. It's like, wow, this stuff is actually really strong. It lasts. So as long as it fulfills their expectations, that's wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's also one of those fragrances that we didn't even get a chance to do a lot of work on it. It's just that word of mouth with people.
Yeah, people
like it, they talk about it, they say it to other friends, and they buy it. So we were like, oh well, we don't even have the bottles to promote it that much, so because it's just but it's good. I mean, the whole line, maybe I would love to have you maybe another time here so we can talk about some other things. I think we can talk forever.
It would be my pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
absolutely.
can go over maybe some other fragrances. I was just I started just working with Hamid Merati Kashani. He started his
Fabrica
own
de
line,
la Musa.
Fabrica de la Musa.
Yeah.
So hopefully we're gonna get it soon. But you know, he's also doing a great job here. So you know, he do a lot
They
of great
are
fragrances.
amazing.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
one called it's Sette Mille, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's
yeah.
such a great like modern, gentlemanly, classy fragrance. That's one that I actually wore a lot of as well. And this brand has some incredible fragrances. I know his wife Barbara is the
That's right.
creative
Yeah,
director.
she's the creative
so she's
director.
doing a wonderful job.
Yeah, so we actually just ordered our first shipment from them. So hopefully be here in a month. And I actually love the fragrance. I love that couple too. I love Hamid. I love Barbara. So they're such a cute, beautiful people. So I was like, let's work on it. So I'm excited. A lot of good things are coming up. So
I'm happy for you.
For sure, man. Thank you. So I think that's about it. So and thank you again, Stephen. And if everybody's watching us and I'm sure you know Stephen, but if you don't know him, please make sure you check out his channel. That's Redolessence on YouTube. You have an Instagram account. Are you also active on TikTok and other
I have an
channels?
account. I haven't posted anything yet. I got to do something this summer.
About TikTok. So please follow him, subscribe to his channel. If you guys want to really get educated about fragrances, know more, Stephen is the man. So please make sure
you, Hamid. That really means a lot to me.
Of course, man.
Look, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the opportunity. And you're such an incredible person. And whenever I have the chance to visit MaxAroma and I find myself in Long Island City, I'll always make the visit. So
sure. Thank you,
for
man.
everything.
Thank you. Always a pleasure. All right. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you so much, Hamid.
So before we go, one last thing. So now that everyone is actually watching us, let's just do a giveaway again. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I forgot about that. So before we go, so all these bottles that we talked about, which is Sospiro Vibrato, Micallef Gntonic, Akro Bake, which is my only bottle, but it's fine. I'm gonna get more. Mebizu, Tobacco Vanille, Korloff, and Navitus Parfums, Raise the Spirits. We're gonna give it away. So we have 8 bottles. No, 1, 2, 3, 6 bottles. So in 6 winners. We're gonna give these bottles away.
That's amazing.
Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel, subscribe to Steven's channel, comment on this video, like it, and let us know which bottle you like. And then in 2 weeks we will pick a winner and send a bottle to you guys. Thank you again, and have a very good night. Bye.
Bye.